Carbohydrates are defined as polyhydroxyaldehydes or ketones and their derivatives or substances which yield these derivatives upon hydrolysis is called as a carbohydrates. It is mainly composed of carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. Functional groups present include hydroxyl groups, carbohydrates are most abundant of all organic compounds in nature. These are widely used in energy, provides energy too. Many of the glucose molecules are long-chain polymers of starch and store energy. About 65% of foods in our diet consist of carbohydrates. These are all the functions of carbohydrates. Then functions of carbohydrate in cell. It is major source of energy for the cell, major structural component of plant cell, immediate energy in the form of glucose, reserve or store energy in the form of glycogen. These are mainly aldehydes and ketones. Let's study about classification of carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are classified to the numbers of subunits that make up. That means monosaccharides. Monosaccharide. These are a simplest sugar and contain a single carbon chain which possesses a free aldehyde or ketone group and two or more hydroxyl groups. As they are simplest sugar, it cannot be hydrolyzed into smallest unit. Thus, glycerol C3H6O3 may be considered as parent of the simplest monosaccharides from 3 to 7 carbon. Then glyceraldehyde, glycerol and dihydrogenase are certain examples of monosaccharides. Then glucose is example of monosaccharide. Then oligosaccharide. Oligo means few and saccharide means sugar. Monosaccharide are simple sugars or the carbon which was free aldehyde or ketone group, that is carbonyl group C double bond O group is known as carbonyl and two or more hydroxyl groups. They are simple sugar and cannot be hydrolyzed in further units. It is contain a single carbon chain and classified on the basis of number of carbon atoms they possesses and as aldoses or ketoses depending upon their groups. The next monosaccharide. It has a sugar structural formula triose glyceraldehydes C3CH6O3, then tetraoses C4H8O4, then pentoses C5H10O5. That are different classification of carbon atoms. Then monosaccharides. Glucose, the essential energy source of body functions. D-glucose, dextrose, blood sugar, glucose, galactose and fructose are example of carbohydrate. D-glucose means dextrose rotatory glucose. Optical isomerism. Optical isomerism is a differ from each other in deposition of various atoms or groups atoms in the space around the asymmetric carbon atom. What do you mean by asymmetric carbon atom? Asymmetric carbon atom is a carbon atom which is attached to four different groups. The four different groups include H, OH, SCOH and H2OH. There are four different groups. Now what is dextrorotatory form and levorotatory form? Dextrorotatory form and levorotatory form. When the hydroxyl group in dextrorotatory isomer The hydroxyl group is to the right side of the carbon atom. It's called as rex rotatory. And in lever rotatory, the hydroxyl group is represented, which is attached to carbonyl group is or chiral atom, which is attached to left side is called as a lever rotatory. And these two are called as a isomers, representing similar structure but different structure but the same molecular formula. Then these are aldoses. Properties of monosaccharides. The properties of monosaccharides are particularly meta rotation, then glycoside formation, then reducing power, oxidation reduction, then reduction, dehydration, methylation or esterification. The properties we will study later. Carbohydrates with free carbonyl group in hemiacetal form give positive test to benedicts and fillings. These are reducing sugar and non-reducing sugar. What do you mean by reducing sugar? Carbohydrates with a free aldehyde at carbon and number 1 or free ketone at carbon number 2. Aldehyde or ketone group is not free but it is utilized in bond formation. In reducing sugar, they are in hemiacetal or hemiketal form. In non-reducing sugar, they are in acetal or ketal form. In reducing sugar, do exhibit meta-rotation. In non-reducing, do not exhibit meta-rotation. Then in reducing sugar, do form oxazone with phenyl hydrogen. In non-reducing, do not form oxazones. In reducing sugar, do not form oximes with hydroxylamines. Example, glucose, fructose, lactose, maltose. Do not form oximes with, that is sucrose, glucose and lignin. Oligosaccharides. Oligosaccharides. These are compounds sugar that yield 2 to 10 molecules of monosaccharide or monosaccharide upon hydrolysis. An oligosaccharide yielding 2 molecules of monosaccharide on hydrolysis is designated as a disaccharide, and one yielding 3 molecules of monosaccharide is designated as a trisaccharide. Disaccharides. Sucrose, lactose, maltose, celluloose are the examples. Trisaccharides. Ramenose, raffinose are examples. Then tetrasaccharides. Statues in pentasaccharides. These are oligosaccharides. Then disaccharides. Composed of 2 monosaccharides. Glucose plus fructose is equal to sucrose. It is known as a non-reducing sugar. Glucose plus galactose is known as a lactose. Glucose plus glucose is known as a maltose. Non-reducing sucrose is known as a non-reducing sugar. Trisaccharides. Composed of monosaccharide, 3 monosaccharides. Example, raffinose. Tetrasaccharides. Example, statiose composed of 4 molecules of monosaccharide, 2 molecules of galactose and 1 molecule of glucose and 1 molecule of fructose. Then polysaccharides. Polysaccharides are the molecules which contains, these are a compound sugar and yielding more than 10 molecules of monosaccharide on hydrolysis. The long chain polymers are either straight chain branched. These are also called as glycans. Then polysaccharides are classified into, on the basis of function, it is classified into storage polysaccharide and structural polysaccharide. Example, starch and cellulose. Classification on the basis of composition, these are classified into homopolysaccharide and heteropolysaccharides. Homopolysaccharide and heteropolysaccharide. What do I mean by homopolysaccharide? On the hydrolysis, these polysaccharides yield same type of monosaccharide molecules. Example, starch, glycogen, inulin, and cellulose. It is further grouped as pentacenes and hexacenes. In heteropolysaccharide, On the analysis, these polysaccharides yield different types of monosaccharide molecule. Example, hyaluronic acid and chromatin sulfate. Heteropolysaccharides are grouped into gum, agar, and pectins and their products. Types of polysaccharide, that is starch, the major digestible polysaccharide in our diet. Storage form of carbohydrate in plant, sources wheat, rice, corn. Two types of plant starch are amylose and amylopectin. Amylose and amylopectin. Amylase is a long unbranched straight chain of polysaccharides, while amylopectin is a branched chain of polysaccharides. Amylose and amylopectins. It is 15 to 28 of molecule inside the layer of starch, and amylopectin 80 to 85 in wild molecular alphabet molecule inside the layer of starch. Amylose produces blue-black color with iodine. Amylopectin produces purple color with iodine. Then types of polysaccharides: cellulose. It is most abundant in extracellular structure polysaccharide of the plant kingdom and found in all biomolecules in the presence of bioprocess. It is occurs in the cell walls of plants. Plant occur in nearly pure form in cotton 94%. Found associated with other structural substances such as lignin. Then it has some properties. It is fibrous, tough, white, solid and insoluble in water. It lacks in sweetness. Does not give any color with iodine. And glycogen. Glycogen is storage form of glucose in the body, stored in the liver and muscles of the animals, found in tiny amounts in meats, etc., and huge source of energy. It is all about brief classification of carbohydrates. Thank you very much.